The markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Robert Tan. Catch up with us on Business Brief. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. compares the administration's anti-corruption reforms to a major surgery. He said the country may be bleeding now, but will also heal very, very quickly. He acknowledged that dismantling entrenched abuses and overhauling a deeply flawed system had been painful, but insisted the steps were necessary to prevent corruption from continuing. He stressed that the administration knew the next steps to take and remained committed to pursuing accountability, irregularity-free infrastructure, and reforms designed to make the country stronger. House Majority Leader Sandro Marcos, son of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., has appeared before the Independent Commission for Infrastructure today. Marcos said he came voluntarily and was not invited by the investigative body. The ICI granted him an executive session or a closed-door meeting at his request. The Ilocos Norte 1st District Representative added he is willing to tell the ICI anything he knows which can help the probe. Former Ako Bicol Representative Zaldico previously accused Congressman Marcos and PBBM of allegedly ordering insertions in the national budget. Both of them have denied these claims. The Asian Development Bank and the World Bank joins forces to launch its Full Mutual Reliance Framework, or FMRF program. Paulo Barcelon is on the line for us from Ortigas for the details. Paulo, so what projects will be undertaken through this endeavor, and will the Philippines be part of it?
Robert, World Bank President AJ Banga and ADB President Masato Kanda say two projects in Fiji and Tonga will benefit from the said FMRF program, an urban development project for Tonga and a healthcare access project for Fiji. Under the FMRF, borrowers in World Bank ADB co-finance projects will only need to follow one set of rules, using either the World Bank's or the ADB's policies and procedures. This covers everything from project design and preparation to supervision, completion, and evaluation. Officials say the framework is expected to speed up processes, cut costs, produce better results, and further align the two institutions' policies, helping build a more unified multilateral development bank system. World Bank and ADB officials also say projects that will be financed under the FMRF are subject to strong anti-corruption measures, and that borrowing countries should regularly report the status of projects funded under the program. ADB and World Bank officials also say that a country's GDP level is not a determining factor as to whether or not a country can avail of the FMRF for its projects. Robert.
Thank you for that report, Paulo Barcelon. Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture is preparing for a massive hiring wave, expecting to recruit about 20,000 agriculturists once new laws reinstating agricultural extension workers are approved. Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. adds that the Animal Industry Development and Competitiveness Act will also create demand for veterinarians and other agri-related professionals. The DA hopes fresh agriculture licensure exam passers will fill the workforce, strengthen farm-to-market data collection, and support the modernization of the country's agriculture sector. The Philippines is moving to jumpstart its Islamic finance market after the Securities and Exchange Commission issued a draft framework for sukuk issuance. On November 26, the SEC released proposed guidelines to ensure Sharia compliance and investor protection. The proposal outlines stronger disclosures, clear Sharia governance, and enhanced investor safeguards aligned with global sukuk practices. Sukuk are Islamic investment certificates giving holders undivided investment, interest in or rights to the underlying assets or project undertaken in accordance with the Sharia principles. The guidelines apply to all sukuk offerings not exempt under the Securities Regulation Code. We're taking a short break. Stick around. We've got more stories ahead. You're watching Business Brief. Manufacturing in the Philippines has been on a downturn for the past several years. As a response to this, the government is pinning its hopes on the Tatak Pinoy strategy to turn things around. Here's Pierre Pastor's Business Brief Report with the details.
The manufacturing activities in the Philippines had suffered a decline since 2021. This according to a report of the S&P Global Manufacturing Index. The decline affected the exports, the employment, purchasing, and all. Experts identified a cause for this decline, a dysfunctional local supply chain.
The fact that we have very weak agricultural productivity means that our sources of inputs, our supply chains are very weak and dependent on foreign inputs.
To address this, the government has pivoted the agricultural development, and another government's initiative is the Tatak Pinoy strategy. This is the country's first national industrial policy made into law, approved by President Bongbong Marcos through Memorandum Circular Number 104. Tatak Pinoy strategy aims to strengthen and promote Philippine-made products and services. According to Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry Vice President for Trade Facilitation Brian Ang, the government can help the manufacturing industry by temporarily protecting the manufacturers from high tariff cost, including the tariff on power. The Philippines is one that has the highest electricity cost.
Electricity is one of the main inputs, and to suspend this temporarily, I think will help a lot of our manufacturers.
Aside from power, other issues of investors hindering to do business in the Philippines is logistic cost and ease of doing business. For this part, one of the salient provision of the Tatak Pinoy Act is the introduction of green lane for investments and exports.
Mandating all government agencies to put up green lanes for exporters and Tatak Pinoy investors to help them getting these permits and getting these BIR BOC clearances faster. So I laud them for that.
In the end, consensually, the panelists of the Tatak Pinoy Council Fire Chat are hopeful with the government's initiative to jumpstart the economy through bolstering the manufacturing sector. For Business Brief, Pierre Pastor, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Market confidence remains fragile after former Department of Public Works and Highways Chief Rogelio Babesingson resigned as Commissioner of the Independent Commission for Infrastructure. On BNC's Business 360, Jonathan Ravela, Senior Advisor at Reyes Tacondong and Company, said that while market fundamentals remain strong, swift action on accountability is crucial to restore investor confidence.
Well, we haven't seen the bottom. I think we need to understand that our fundamentals remain sound. I think the key factor to remember today is that we're having a toothache. So regardless how good the buffet that we're looking at, but when you have a toothache, nothing seems attractive. So until we fix the tooth or we're able to address this accountability issue, the faster we change the person, then definitely we could move on with the accountability.
ABS-CBN pushes back on claims that it failed to settle nearly 1 billion pesos in obligations to TV5. In a statement, the Lopez family-led network says it acknowledges its financial obligations to TV5, owned by business tycoon Manny V. Pangilinan. However, the Kapamilya network denies that it willfully delayed payments, emphasizing there are financial constraints beyond their control. Documents obtained by Bilyonaryo showed TV5 has terminated its content partnership with ABS-CBN, citing the latter's failure to meet contractual obligations. TV5 formally demanded payment of more than 946 million pesos from ABS-CBN as of late October. The content agreement allowed TV5 to air ABS-CBN flagship shows such as FPJ's Batang Quiapo and Asap Natin To. ABS-CBN said that if the partnership ends, it will continue finding ways to reach audiences as it did after the loss of their franchise in 2020. Former Commissioner of the Commission on Audit, Heidi Mendoza, says lawmakers have become bold in committing corruption because of political allies in power. On BNC's The Spokes, Mendoza said the release of funds from the national budget appeared to have passed with little scrutiny.
Ngayon ba, itong mga lawmakers ba, sa tingin mo takot sila? Dahil kasi parang ang feeling nila, lahat na nasa gobyerno involved. So sabit-sabit tayo.
Eto, tahas ang pagsasabi. Hindi takot, parehas sila ng collar. Parehas sila ng sinusuot, di ba? Bakit hindi sila takot? Kita mo naman, walang kahirap-hirap ang confirmation ngayon, di ba? Hindi ko katulad na kulang nilang magnubina ako ng palood at palakad at balik-balik.
You're saying that the present crop of COA commissioners
breeze.
No
diba?
kidding.
Walk in the park, di ba?
So
Meanwhile, Mendoza added that the alleged involvement of COA Commissioner Mario Lipana did not come as a surprise, but called it deeply disappointing that the agency remained silent despite being aware of what was happening.
Yung appointing authority, pag nag-appoint ka, binabasa yan ng baba. Sabi ko nga, once na in-appoint mo, si Lipana, di ba? The message is clearly written in the wall. Hanap buhay na. I am not surprised that his wife is implicated because I think that ito siguro to put it on the right, many of the auditors na nakakausap ko, they're saying na, ma'am, ibang-iba na yung ngayon. When I say iba, anong nangyari? Well, alam mo na, meron ng mga superpower, yun ang term nila, super M.
Transport Group Manibela announces it will stage a 3-day nationwide strike from December 9 to 11 to protest alleged excessive penalties and slow government processing of documents. Chairperson Mar Valbuena said the strike will involve not only Manibela members but PUV drivers and operators across the country with the possibility of extension. The group also raised concerns about the costly public transport modernization program, delays in vehicle registration, and requirements for provisional authorities that they say burden on consolidated operators. Retired Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio claims Finance Secretary Ralph Recto may be liable for plunder and technical malversation for ordering the remittance of PhilHealth and the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation funds to finance flood control projects. On BNC's On Point, Carpio said PhilHealth did not have excess funds and only the president has the authority to transfer savings between items, meaning Recto's actions could violate the law.
Technical malversation is a situation where the law, there is a law saying that this money should be used to build schoolhouses. You use the money to build a bridge. You did not steal a single centavo. That is technical malversation because the law says you build a house, schoolhouse. And that's a law. You have to obey that. Because the law says this should be used only for operations of PhilHealth. You used it for flood control.
AC Mobility, part of the Bilyonaryo Zobel de Ayala family, is ending 2025 with the announcement of its new recognition program, AC Momentum, set to launch next year. At its year-end celebration, CEO Jaime Alfonso Zobel de Ayala said the initiative will highlight stories, innovations, and change makers driving sustainable mobility in the Philippines.
AC Mobility carries the responsibility not only to build the technology and infrastructure, but also to nurture the cultural momentum that makes sustainable progress possible. More will be announced soon, and when they do, we hope it feels like the beginning of a new chapter. One powered by vision, courage, and the drive to reshape mobility in the Philippines.
AC Mobility continues to distribute Chinese EV brand BYD and South Korea's Kia while operating several Isuzu dealerships across the country. We're taking another short break. Up next, a quick look at how Philippine shares closed today. That and more when Business Brief returns. Stay with us. Asian shares are mixed after U.S. stocks rise near record levels. South Korea's Kospi, China's Shanghai Composite, and Singapore's Straits Times are in the red while the rest are in the green. On currencies, the U.S. dollar is flat against the Japanese yen and the Hong Kong dollar. The Australian dollar gains against the greenback, while the U.S. dollar advances against the Singaporean dollar, South Korean won, and Thai baht. On commodities, gold falls more than 0.5%, while oil prices move higher. In crypto, Bitcoin is flat with a slight uptick, and Ethereum adds 0.6%. Philippine shares dropped to 5,800 level. The PSEi ended 0.3% lower to 58.87. Majority of the sectoral indices closed in the red, with industrial falling the most at 0.6%. Decliners outpaced advancers 100 to 81, with value turnover at 6.5 billion pesos. The day's most active stocks were mixed, with Jollibee Foods falling the most at 3%. ICTSI rose the most at 1%. And on currencies, the peso is currently trading at 59.09 against the US dollar, down from the previous close of 58.92. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent plans to push for a rule requiring regional Federal Reserve Bank presidents to have resided in their districts for at least 3 years before being appointed. He argues that many current regional bank leaders were hired from outside their districts, undermining the Federal Reserve System's goal of incorporating local input into monetary policy. Experts caution that the proposal could spark legal and independence issues as the Trump administration seeks greater influence over federal rate decisions. Paramount Skydance has reportedly raised the breakup fee in its bid to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery to $5 billion, up from $2.1 billion. According to Bloomberg News, the higher fee signals greater confidence that the proposed merger would clear regulatory approval if finalized. As of press time, Paramount Skydance and Warner Brothers Discovery declines to comment on the report. On Monday, Warner Brothers Discovery has also received a second round of bids, including a mostly cash offer from Netflix, according to Reuters. Australia is set to enforce a social media ban on users under 16 starting December 10, with Meta's Instagram, Facebook, and Threads already deactivating accounts ahead of the deadline. E-Safety Commissioner Julie Inman-Grant called the ban the first domino in a global push to curb big tech, citing harmful design features that even adults struggle to resist. Parents and advocates say the move provides relief from mental health pressures on teens, while international lawmakers monitor the Australian approach. And that's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Robert San. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.